Hey.
John!
What up?
John!
Yeah?
You gotta pump up, man. You gotta power up.
Why did something happen?
No, something is happening. The Rage Slick podcast is happening.
Oh, that.
Right here. Oh, no, you gotta get your power levels up, man. You gotta do that thing like they do on Dragon Ball and all the lightning comes on you and no?
For you, the Rage Select podcast may be the greatest day of your life. For me, it's just Thursday.
It's just Thursday. Not just me. It's the greatest day of everyone's life because guess what? It's time for a brand new episode of the Rage Select podcast. My power level's over 9,000. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
What's your power level, John?
I don't know.
I don't watch that show. I only know one thing about it. So, yes, and John, I feel like we're starting to come. We're kind of starting to come to the end of 2019. I've been looking at the calendar.
You don't say.
And I've been looking at the calendar. I'm talking about gaming wise. Like, I don't know that there's really this week Shenmue came out, and then I think we're kind of donezo, right?
Except for the Terminator game that everyone thinks is going to be bad,
which is already out on the PC.
Oh, okay.
Along with a few other things, but what Tom is coming out in December.
Yeah.
But so we're getting ready to go into
major release wise. Yes, we're done for the year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start looking back at some of the stuff that we missed because there ain't jack shit. And then of course everybody knows that January is one of the best times to be a video gamer. You get all those brand new video games that came out in January. You don't do that. So anyway, that is just to say that we don't have an XO19. We don't have a Nintendo Direct. We've just got a real. Well, no, wait. That's not. Wait, hold on. Hold on, Jeff. There is one big thing this week. There's one gigantic-ish announcement, I suppose.
Yeah.
That we will get to. But before we do, John, what have you been up to?
I play a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah. Are you mad? Are you very angry about Pokemon?
I'm kind of ambivalent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just feeling like a little.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. This is a weird question. Did you play all the way to the end of the Let's Go?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did you play any of Let's Go?
Oh no, I did. I did play. So I will say my history with Pokemon games is that I buy them.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy to play them.
Yeah.
And then I get about halfway through and then get super bored with it and move on to something else.
Okay.
And then never touch that game ever again.
Okay.
That is my general
That's your track
modus
record.
operandi when it comes to Pokemon games.
All right.
Now, and when I say I get about halfway through, I mean I could be playing it for months at a time.
You just kind of get the JRPG burnout.
Yeah. I just get to the point where I'm just like, okay, I'm at the point where I have to grind, and there are other games to play.
Yeah.
And I move on.
Okay.
So didn't get that with this game. Because the first one I've actually beaten ever.
Really?
Yeah.
And you say you just kind of inexplicably just found yourself at the end of the game.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, I guess I should try to play and get to the end, be the first game that I beat, and yeah.
You just did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I've done that's worth talking about other than talking about beating Pokemon.
I beat Jedi Fallen Order. That was my one.
Yeah, I have that to play. I just haven't played it yet.
Damn it, John! You gotta catch up.
The PS4 is not working. I haven't played I have both Death Stranding and Jedi Fallen Order to play, and I haven't played either of them.
Damn it! I need more people that have played all the way through these games.
Yeah, well, that's my hope is to jump right into.
What's first on your list?
I don't know.
Jedi Fallen Order or Death Stranding? Which
I
one
haven't
are you going
decided
for?
yet.
Okay.
I don't know because they're both pretty equal as far as
your psych level.
Yeah, psych level is I'm kind of looking forward to both of them, and I know I need to get to both of those before the end of the year because we got to do our big.
Yeah, talk about game of the year. Yeah.
I've already got my list for the most part filled out.
I'm hoping over the Christmas break to maybe be able to finish like Fire Emblem. And I'm really hoping that Amanda and I can get to the end of Control. I don't know how far we are from the end of Control, but I need to beat that one.
But I feel like Death Stranding, Star Wars, and then Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those are the big three.
Those ones you want to get out of the way.
I haven't played any of that I need to play so that I can. Those are the three that I feel like could go on the list that I currently have.
Right.
I don't know where.
But
in the top 10, but I want to at least play them to see if I feel like they should push something else off.
Okay.
Like, I think my top 5 is pretty solid.
Okay.
Unless Death Stranding or Jedi Fallen Order just wow me on a level that I've never been wowed before.
I'm really, I mean, not just for my own personal selfish reasons, but I'm really interested to know what you think of Death Stranding. Michael and I have talked about it nonstop when we don't have the everything turned on. But
Other than that,
you get that Disney Plus yet? See that Mandalorian?
No, I have not. We don't have Disney Plus yet. That's something that Amanda is supposed to. We made the deal that I would sign up for a few other services, streaming services, and that she would do Disney Plus. But the problem is she switched jobs, and because of that, her pay is
you're in the middle of that weird no man's land.
So it's
last paycheck,
should
new paycheck.
be I think like the next paycheck she gets is like the one that we're going to sign up for everything. Like she's going to sign up for that and got a few other things she's got to get out of the way. But it's just like haven't gotten to it yet. Want to? Already had the fucking thing spoiled for me. So you can't ignore that because everyone's fucking posting about it. Doesn't matter who they are, what platform they're on, or what media outlet they perform to. Everybody fucking talks about it.
Yep. I didn't. I haven't.
I just mentioned it, so your listeners have fucking been spoiled about it.
It's only 2 episodes in. I'm really enjoying it. Like I thought it's been just fantastic. Just fantastic to see something Star Wars that's so different, so interesting.
I've literally, that's a big one, and then I've already got a list of like older movies that I've been wanting to watch that are on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
that I don't own.
Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Oh, okay. That was a joke.
No, totally. I fucking love Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
All right. Is that the Murder She Wrote connection? Is Angela Lansbury in Bed Knobs and Broomsticks?
Yeah, no, she's in that, but I also just like the movie. Like that was a bigger deal for me than like Mary Poppins was.
Okay.
Like as a kid growing up, like watching that was like everyone else was like Mary Poppins, and I'm like fucking Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, motherfuckers. So, but other than that, like, there's a few other like older movies that I really want to see. Like I really want to rewatch All Through Gargoyles again. That's on there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what
spoil your childhood. Watch that X-Men animated show.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of that on DVD.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like part of me was like, oh yeah, and they have the Black Hole on there. I could totally wait. I own that on DVD too, so I can watch that whenever I want.
Yeah, you buy physical media, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like I don't have access to any of this stuff.
And I'm sure there's like I wouldn't mind watching whatever of the old Return to Witch Mountain series.
Escape from Witch Mountain.
Yeah, Escape from Witch Mountain, Return to Witch Mountain, Race to Witch Mountain. Like there's literally like a whole series of like I want to say like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Like I think there's like 4 or 5 with the same actors, and then like there wasn't one for a while, and then they released a new one with new actors.
The one with The Rock, right? With the meme
no. This is even before that.
Oh, really? Know your Witch Mountain, sir.
Hey,
don't come at John about Witch Mountain, man.
My grandmother bought every Disney movie.
See, when I was a kid, we watched one of the Witch Mountains, and it scared my little sister so bad that we were just like not allowed to watch that franchise at all from that point on.
I'm really hoping at some point they put on some of the other movies that were around the time the Black Hole came out, like Something Wicked This Way Comes and Watcher in the Woods, though I own Watcher in the Woods.
The scary ones?
Yeah.
The fucking back when Disney was like, check this out, and you're like, I'm 7, I don't know what to do
Watcher
with this
in the Woods
information.
is a weird one because it's a horror movie and then it changes into something else right at the end.
All right.
Like it's a weird movie. And I don't want to say more than that, but if you have a chance to watch the original Watcher in the Woods, I say fucking do it. They remade it like a couple years back.
With The Rock, obviously.
No. Angelica Houston?
Okay. I don't know the original. I don't know the remake.
Yeah.
You could say Larry the Cable Guy, and I would be.
But yeah, no, and like I heard it was not as good or very good. I think they may have even changed the ending and kept it pure horror. But like if you have a chance to watch the original, like if it ever pops up on Disney Plus, fucking watch that movie. I fucking love that movie.
All right. I started rewatching My Hero Academia season 3 again.
Oh, nice.
Because season 4 is coming out, and it's not coming out fast enough, and I just want more anime superheroes in my life.
Yeah.
So Nope, there's no segue. I was going to try to say something, but I couldn't think of anything.
It's okay.
Let's come to the big reveal, the biggest thing that's happened.
Jesus?
There's a better than Jesus.
Oh, shit.
Better than anything else. You thought this year was big. There's a brand new Half-Life game. What? We've been waiting for so long. It's not Half-Life 3.
It's like it takes place between Half-Life 1 and 2.
Half-Life Alyx, and also it's a VR game.
Yeah.
So if you don't have VR, or if VR makes you sick, or if there's a problem with VR, you are not going to be able to play this game. So yeah, we got a trailer today for Half-Life Alyx, which is like you said, interquel between 1 and 2 of Alyx and her dad and the Combine invasion.
Yeah. So it's like they're trying really hard not to give us Half-Life 3.
Yes.
Or Half-Life Episode 3.
Yes. And the thing is that I was talking with some folks in the Discord chat about this. Like, I don't know if you ever did this, John. Have you ever had access or like been around somebody that has like a Vive before?
A Vive? No.
Okay. Because Valve made like this whole little like, it was like a little bunch of little mini games. It was the one that had that portal thing where GLaDOS wants you to repair Peabody and his face comes apart. You can walk around and take the parts and put them together. There's a whole little thing that they've done with that, because somebody was pointing out that the last thing that Half-Life put out, or that Valve put out, was Artifact, and we know how well Artifact has done. But their VR stuff is pretty good. Like they've only done that one thing, so that's like the only like first party Valve VR thing.
Well, I know one of the guys who was working on this was the guy the team that's working on like Through the Valley of the Gods or whatever.
Yeah, the guys that did Firewatch.
Yeah, like
Campo Santo or whatever they're called.
Yeah, they apparently were working on this, and they said that they had to halt development of Through the Valley of the Gods to work on this, and that once this is released and done, they'll then go back to working on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those VR games, right? First person, it's a shooter. You're going to be walking around. Is this on the Vive? Well, apparently it's going to be available for the Vive, but apparently you'll be able to play it on other VR headsets as long as they have some kind of like room scale like tracking thing, right?
Oh.
So people have been talking about how, you know, the latest Vive is like $1,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you need a fucking balls computer to do it. But that you can apparently put together like a computer, and there's like $200 kind of shitty headsets that you can get. So while it wouldn't be like optimal, you can actually play this game on. You don't have to have that incredibly expensive setup in order to play this.
Okay.
Now, I don't believe that there's been. I mean, the question would be then. I don't think it's coming to any non-PC VR, at least right now. I don't expect it to ever come out on PSVR.
PSVR.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there've been some. You know, Portal 2 was on the PlayStation. They had some Steam connectivity. Blah blah blah. I don't know. Maybe someday. Just from the trailer, though, I mean, I tell you that like. Okay, once you get over, like, is it Half-Life 3? No, it is not Half-Life 3. Is it a VR game? Yes, it is a VR game. It looks like a pretty good VR game.
Yeah, I don't doubt that it'll be good. I mean, the people who are working on it are all top-notch game developers, so, you know, and I'm not just talking about Valve, I'm just talking about, like, the people who actually are making the game.
Yeah.
You know, are actually, they're decent developers, so I don't have any doubts that it'll be good.
It is kind of cool to see all this stuff in, like, I think they said this is like the Source 2 engine. It's going to have like an SDK for making VR stuff in it. But, I mean, like, yeah, all this trailer, it looks real good. It looks real action packed. And, you know, you got the Combine, you got the head crabs, you got some of the characters from Half-Life 2 are in here. Alyx's dad and like the G-Man is in here, and they all look real good. The Combine and everything look really good in this. I think the question is just going to be, well, I don't know. I was looking at some of the reaction stuff to it, and it was like, you know, people have been saying, oh, VR isn't going to work until there's a big killer app for VR that everyone's just got to have. And then it's like, okay, well, here's Half-Life in VR. And everybody's like, no, don't have it in VR. I don't want to buy VR. I want to play it on my computer like regular.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it looks good. I don't think that I'm going to have the resources to buy enough equipment to play it, though. Like,
yeah. So here's my thought on it.
Yeah.
This trailer looks really good.
Yeah.
and I'm sure this is all actual rendered gameplay or whatever, but the hand movements and everything look a little too like this is they're purposefully this is not, that's not how the hand movements are going to completely look when you're playing it
in the game.
Yeah,
well, it's possible. I mean, isn't the latest Vive handset have just like a whole, like it'll even track individual fingers for things?
No, and I'm not arguing that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying like I don't know how much of this is actual, like, oh, it's going to be exactly like that when I play it.
It seems like what, too smooth for school,
too smooth. Some of the just the way it moves, like I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I'm hesitant to believe it.
Right. No, I mean, and that's worthwhile. I think it's like on the last podcast we were talking about the whole Pokemon controversy. Just, hey, if you're leery when a game company says here's how a thing works, like I did not believe that the Nemesis system in Lord of Mordor,
was going to work.
I mean, all the way up until it came out, I didn't believe it was going to work. Like I thought they were lying, and then when it came out and it worked, I was like, "Holy shit, it actually works!" But
hell, I'm still like hesitant about Watchdog Legion or whatever. I'm hoping it works like they said, but I don't. I'm worried it's not gonna.
Yeah.
And as far as this, like, it just feels too smooth, too produced.
Yeah, I mean, but that's all VR trailers, right?
No, you're right. No, you're 100% right.
None of them have the janky hand all freaking out, or I do like the fact that there aren't any arms.
Yeah.
That it just seems like it's because that always ends up bad.
Yeah, the last time there was a game that had arms, I literally was the first time I ever wanted to throw up in a video game, and it wasn't because of the arms. It was just.
For me, it was because of the arms. It's because the arms weren't where my arms were, and it was like. There's also some humor, some fun stuff, and then there's like these gravity gloves that Alyx is using. I don't know. I think it looks good.
No, I think it looks good. It's definitely something to be excited about.
Yeah.
Especially if you have the VR capabilities to play. This.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't. Part of me, I'm hesitant to say, like, part of me says, well, if this sells really well, maybe they'll get back into making Half-Life games. I don't think that's going to happen.
No. This is them trying to be like, please buy a Vive.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right about that. So I wouldn't get your hopes up. I mean, here's the thing. If you don't get your hopes up and then they announce Half-Life 3, you can be pleasantly surprised. If you get your hopes up and then they don't announce Half-Life 3, you will be sad. I still think
here's the thing. I think the entire purpose of this is they really want to sell people the Vive.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think they're going to try to make this the best game they can.
Absolutely.
Like, they're not going to be like, oh, we're putting a game out that's called Half-Life to get people to buy a Vive, but it's really not. We put as little effort into it as possible. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they're putting like all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Like, let's make this the best fucking VR game in the existence of VR.
Yeah.
As of today.
Which to go back to what I was talking about at the very beginning, that Peabody experience where you pull it apart and GLaDOS is talking, that's like a little side story for Portal that I don't feel like very many people remember exists, have ever played, but it was really good. It was really, really responsive. It was very immersive. It worked super well at the room scale because it's in a very small area. To me, showing that they probably this is not going to be Artifact, I don't think.
No.
All right.
It's not a card game?
No. And that's March of next year.
Yeah, March. That's actually very soon.
So I have to start saving up so that I can afford a Vive in March as opposed to not being able to afford a Vive right now.
Yeah.
All right. So, John, this week we are going to go all the way down the hit parade. Every company, this is almost like a retrospective flashback of all of the companies that have done kind of crappy stuff or whatnot of 2019. Like, I feel like we've got a story here from just about everybody this year. And let us start with Google.
Oh, okay, Google, hey.
Because the Google Stadia came out this week.
Apparently out and not worth it.
Yeah. So, okay, I was not going to buy the $130 Founder Edition of Stadia that came with the 4K Chromecast. And apparently that's a good thing because people aren't getting their codes to be able to activate their Stadia, even though it's a code. It's not a a thing. It's just a code that you send out. And apparently, at first, it was that Google was trying to make sure that the hardware was getting shipped on time, which I don't understand because they're just Chromecasts and the controllers. They're not like, but apparently it's been really terrible. They spent their money for the Founders Pack and they've been waiting days to get their codes. Now, things have worked a little bit more in their favor. But then the second part of this story is that, you remember when they announced all this and you and I sat here and we were both like, I don't know. I think I was a little bit more hopeful than you were. Like, I think you were just like, this is going to be dick. And
I've worked for a company that had a streaming service, and
it was dick.
It was dick then.
Yep.
It's probably going to be dick there too.
Yep. And I was like, I don't know, maybe, but I'm not going to believe them until I actually get my hands on it. Well, I don't have my hands on it. Apparently, it is dick. It is dick to the dick. Like people
apparently, like not even all the games that they announced are actually available yet. Like only like a handful, and it's like games no one cares about.
Yep. Last week there was even a story that there was like achievements aren't turned on, parental controls aren't turned on. Like there's all these features that are supposed to be coming that are missing right now. The like screen share Twitch thing, cloud saves. Apparently right now it's like there's Red Dead and Destiny 2, but a lot of the other stuff is missing. And then we all have to remember, right, that Google Stadia is asking you to spend 60 American dollars per virtual video game that you get for their virtual service that apparently doesn't work and is unaccessible and is kind of broken right now. So this launch has not been great.
Yeah,
Let's just say that.
And you know how Google their track record with stuff that doesn't launch well.
Yeah. So apparently
how long until they abandon this?
It's a good question. See, I think that the whole experiment hinges on the $60 for a game. Like they needed an Xbox Game Pass, $15 a month, get access to these games. Even if like Destiny and Red Dead are not on there, like they need something so that you can
I thought
get
there
it.
was that with it. Like there was some sort of like, oh, you pay X amount of dollars a month and you get access to these games, but games like Red Dead and Destiny, those you still have to pay like the full amount for.
See, if I remember correctly, I think that the Uplay service was going to be on there, and that you were going to be able to access like the games that were on that. But I don't think that Google had an actual service set up in that direction.
I thought there was.
I could be wrong as well.
Then I am even more skeptical.
Yeah, it's one of those things where now who knows? I mean, like they could. I get the feeling that this one might be one that they don't abandon. I mean, maybe, but Sony and Microsoft have teamed up to work on this tech. Other people are working on this tech. I feel like Google wants to try to be the ones out in front to do it. It just, I don't know. It's one of those things. I feel like we've been seeing this a lot recently where there was this release date, and what they needed to do was they needed 9 more months worth of working with this shit. But they were like, no, we have to get out ahead of the PS5 and Scarlet, and they might have their streaming thing, or other people might be coming behind us with some streaming stuff. We have to be the first one. But it doesn't work if the thing you launch is fucked up and broken, if it's the bad experience.
Also, technically, they're not the first one, so,
Well, there is that. PlayStation Now.
There's PlayStation Now on Live, which went out of business, then came back into business, and then went out of business a second time.
Yep.
What was it? GameFly even had a streaming service for a while that then got sold off to got sold off to EA.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
And there was some side by sides going on that I saw online that was like Red Dead 2 on an Xbox One X, and then Red Dead 2 on Stadia, and it looks like garbage on Stadia, and it looks better on an Xbox One X than it does on the Stadia.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's I don't think they're going to abandon it quite yet. I mean, I think that if nothing else, I think that they realize that it would be really bad form to charge people $130 for a thing and then turn it off 3 weeks after it starts.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think they're gonna. If Google abandons this, it's not gonna be like we're turning everything off like 3 weeks afterwards.
Right.
It'll get turned off maybe like 3 years from now, but it'll be a slow.
Just pushed in the background. It's still there.
You still have access to the stuff that's there, but we're gonna start slowly not putting stuff on there.
Like Ouya.
Yeah, no, exactly like that.
Like the Ouya. So, yeah, if you have a Google Stadia, please tell me what it's like. I want to know what it's like. I mean, I'm not willing to spend the money that they want for that thing.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know as well. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we're just seeing is the negative stuff that's in the news about it.
Right.
And I found that sometimes even when the negative criticisms are totally warranted, there's good elements. Because I mean, like, I'll even go back to you brought up the Ouya.
Yeah.
Like, I had one of those. And yeah, everything that people made fun of it about, 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
But I still found like the hidden gems on it that were totally, for me, worth owning it at the time. So I mean, I'm sure I'm curious. Is there anything like that on the Stadia?
Yeah.
Like, is there a reason to go? Yeah, it sucks right now, but I'm having some fun with this, and this.
Yeah, like Destiny and Red Dead, no, but I don't know, something else. Goose Game, or I don't know. I don't even know what else is on there. Like, I don't even know what games are out there.
Apparently not much.
Yeah. It also does not, I mean, like, it seems like a kind of a bad time to launch, considering that we've got Black Friday with console deals coming like in a week, you know. Just seems like a rushed bad thing. Like, it might have been better to try to go up when you had the actual oomph to try to compete, instead of trying to just get it out and then fix it later. But throughout that, I was talking about Sony and Microsoft and whatnot, as well as other companies. Well, that other company apparently is Amazon. Amazon's getting ready to launch some kind of game streaming tech within the next year.
Of course they are.
Yeah, because you remember how Amazon's gaming division was so good? How they bought, what was those guys? Iron Galaxy or...
Oh, yeah, they bought Iron Galaxy.
The guys that made the Killer Instinct originally.
Yeah.
Then they put out the game with the big giants. They made that, it was the, what was it called? It was the one with where you it's like Attack on Titan, right?
Oh, I know.
You cut off the ogre's legs and stuff. And it was fucking terrible. It was, Matt and I played it, and it was so boring and so bad. But apparently Amazon is working on some kind of game streaming service. They want it to do a little bit more Twitch integration. It's going to be something. They basically are going to be trying to put it out sometime next year. I don't know if I have... you brought up such a good point when it comes to just even the Stadia thing of like, well, what if you have crap internet? What if you don't have the option for good internet? Then all these things are not viable solutions for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, what if you're like me and you have internet, but you do a lot of uploading and downloading, and like you have a lot of traffic on your internet? It just means that whenever there's too much traffic on your internet, your gaming console doesn't work anymore. Like,
well, and then also a lot of companies and a lot of internet companies here in the United States have data caps now.
Yes.
And so it's like, if you play, and they can promise up and down that the data caps aren't going to be affected by these games, but that's still streaming, and it's still streaming even when it's streaming just a minuscule amount of data. It's still streaming data.
Well,
and like that's a problem.
No, I don't think we've ever actually touched on this, but that has been brought up to it was like Phil Harrison, the Google guy, and he was like, well, I think that when the ISPs see that this is a business thing, they'll raise the data caps. They'll work with people to raise the data caps, because I think somebody did a test where they were like watching Stadia run over the network of doing like the 4K 60 FPS Stadia kind of optimal, and they determined that it would be something like 25 gigs a month to play on like a semi-regular basis. And some of these places that have data caps of like 2 gigs a month, and then you start paying afterwards. So and then that's not counting people who also watch stuff through Netflix and subscribe to Hulu or subscribe to Disney Plus, or any of the other million subscription services out there. It seems like a weird thing to say, where it's just like, John, the ISPs, right? The good guys that always take what you want into consideration. They aren't constantly trying to fuck you. ISPs aren't trying to fuck you. Who's gotten fucked by Verizon? I asked you. Verizon's a great company, and nobody's ever gotten fucked by them. Certainly not me last week when my phone died and they refused to replace it because it wasn't covered under the stupid warranty that I paid $7 a month for. So, like, obviously that never happened, and Comcast is a great company that works with their customers and obviously isn't trying just to make shitloads of money.
Yeah.
That was all sarcasm.
I got that.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
No, I totally got it.
Okay, okay, good. Just so everybody knows. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't really hold a lot of hope for Amazon streaming.
You know what?
Who knows?
Who knows? I don't. When it comes to Amazon, they'll do their thing, and we'll see what happens.
It reminds me of
I appreciate them at least going, we're not announcing a release date. We're still working on it. It's probably going to come out next year, but it may not.
It feels like this is a new inflection point that we've seen a couple times before where everybody's like, ooh, we're going to make a game console. That for a while, that was like a thing where it was like, the Steam box. Like,
and then, everyone's going to be blown away with the announcement of the Phantom.
Yeah, the Phantom. And then, like, they all failed.
Or just didn't exist.
And then now where it's like everybody wants to get in on this streaming thing, and it'll be this time we'll all do it. It's like, guys, there's going to be like 3 people. Now, when I say that in the sarcastic and nasty way, there was a time when Microsoft was the upstart, and they kept at it until they fucking shoved their way into this industry and knocked Sega out, basically. So
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe Amazon will come in and knock Sony out of the industry. Yeah. Who knows?
Maybe they'll take their time with whatever they're developing, make sure that they actually have A, the games, B, the technology in place, and C, make sure that it doesn't impact data streaming any more than, say, Amazon Prime would.
Right.
And able to provide that with their Amazon Prime service. Like, if you're subscribed to Prime, you get access to this as well.
Right.
Then,
well, yeah, I would try that. I'd try that tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Then they would fucking kill it.
Yeah.
Especially if it worked.
Yeah. Let's see. Not to be left out of this whole streaming conversation, Sony came out this week with an announcement, not of a new streaming service, but as an expansion to the old streaming service. So everybody knows that the PS4 has the ability to do remote play, where you can remote play. I think up until now, it's mostly been on the Vita, right?
Yes.
So that has been up until now the thing, and then there've been a couple of Sony phones I think that'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's been expanded to all Android, all iPhone, PC, Mac, and not just all that, but apparently if the device has Bluetooth, you can sync up a DualShock 4 to it, and play it there. I haven't tried this. I have shitty phones.
I don't. So I have an issue with this.
Okay.
It only works if the device is connected to your home network.
Yes.
So it has to be on the same network that your console's on.
Yes.
And you're essentially streaming it from your console to whatever device.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm at home and I'm wanting to play a video game, why the fuck would I play it on my goddamn phone instead of just, I don't know, turning on the TV and playing it on my console?
Well, John, some people live in a house with, like, children, wives, people who want to watch things on TV, and they can't just be like, get out of here. Daddy's got to play God of War. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Like I said, it's kind of
like
I get it. It's fun, whatever. I kind of feel like this announcement was done as like, oh, Microsoft had their big X09. They're talking about the streaming thing that they're doing.
Sure.
Let's say put this out there to kind of show people, well, we can do something like that. And it's like, but not really.
I see. Okay, it's weird.
Seems kind of.
I actually tried this on my Vita, but the problem with the Vita was
it didn't have the
one set of triggers, right? So I don't know that I would try this, but the way I look at this is if I had what the thing that they keep showing to like bracket the phone to the top of your controller, then I mean, I don't know. You could lay in bed and play PlayStation games, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of like the Switch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that same argument would be like, well, why would you ever take the Switch out of the dock, right? You don't need to carry your thing around with you. You got to connect to your TV.
Yeah, but the difference there is I don't have to be connected to my home network to take my Switch out of the dock to play it in my bedroom.
That is true.
I'm literally taking the Switch to my bedroom.
That is true.
Like If it was a situation where the Switch didn't work out of the dock unless I was connected to my home network, so that it could connect to some data on the docking station, then I would be like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's a cool feature. Like, I'm not going to knock it. It's cool in that regard. I think it's a cool feature, whatever. If it's something you use, that's great. You should. I'm happy you're happy for it. To me personally, this seems pointless and seems like just them trying to go, Microsoft's talking about this thing. Well, you could do this right now on PS4.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was weird. The number of people, I mean, I was watching people when it was the Vita, right?
Yeah.
When you could stream to the Vita and then people would do that. Or like when people
I think I even said back then when that was originally announced and we talked about it on the podcast, I think even back then I was like, but why?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it appeals to, I'm never going to use it. My PlayStation sits 2 feet from my computer in a chair that I spend 90% of my time in. The Rage Select Command chair is where I spend most of my time all day, every day, a.k.a. the world's most uncomfortable chair that I bought off of Amazon, and it sucks and it hurts my butt and my back. But I don't know. It's free. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah. Anywho, speaking of PlayStation, we also got some news this week. We got a patent submission for the PlayStation 5 controller. So a couple of things. It's a little bigger than the PS4 controller. It appears that the sticks are slightly smaller. The big thing is that the light is gone. They took the light off of the top of the PS4 controller. And then for my money, this is kind of a weird thing. John, I don't think you can see it because this is so small. But they changed where the charging port is. It looks like the charging port is back on the bottom, like it is.
That's weird.
Like it was on the the Xbox ones had it on the bottom. That's what it seems like. And then there's also a bunch of new stuff with the trigger, where they're trying to do a different, like some kind of force feedback on the pulls on the trigger.
I remember them talking about that when they announced the controllers a while back.
Yeah, it looks like it's 90% a DualShock 4. It's just, I mean, the DualShock 4 was
a little bit fatter, a little bit.
Yeah. Like the handholds are a little bit bigger. The bottom is a little bit more streamlined. And then it looks like they've just centered, because on the regular PS4 controller, like the headset stuff is all on the bottom.
Yeah.
So they've just moved the charging port the same place where everything else is.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. I like the PlayStation controller is probably my favorite. Like, it feels the best in my hands, even though
it's probably my least favorite. I don't hate it as much as I used to, but
yeah,
I still feel like the Xbox 360 controller, which is also the Xbox One X or One controller as well, minor differences, is probably still the most comfortable controller I've ever held.
Yeah. I think I even think that I think I even would, if you gave me a blind taste test, I probably would prefer the Xbox 360 controller, but like I've just been using a PlayStation controller for so long that the continuity is just there. So anyway, well, we've talked about Google, we've talked about Amazon, we've talked about Sony. Let's talk about Nintendo.
What do Nintendo?
Well, it seems that in spite of the Dexit controversy,
fucking stupid.
In spite of all of the wailing and the gnashing of teeth, Nintendo sold about 6 million copies of Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Nice.
Breaking a bunch of sales records. Apparently they sold about 2 million copies in the first 2 days.
Nice.
So in spite of all of the problems, it appears that Pokemon is a big thing. People like Pokemon. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who could have guessed?
I don't know.
I mean,
probably Nintendo.
Probably Nintendo. So yeah, there was all that stuff. I always find it interesting to talk about these things because I feel like the internet is very mad about a thing, and then it comes out and it's like, this is why nobody cares if you're mad, internet, because the sales were fine. Like it's totally recouped whatever they did.
I feel like the people who were mad were the vocal minority.
Yeah.
Like, because the people who wanted this game are the people like my nephew,
Yeah.
who's like 12,
Sure.
and my sister buying it for him, and other parents buying it for their children. This is not for people who've been the people who would post and get upset about they can't transfer their Pokemon from their old games because the Pokemon don't exist in this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't. These games aren't for them. These are games for kids.
You heard it here first, folks. No, it's funny because I've been watching this, and as somebody who doesn't play Pokemon games, I have no dog in this fight.
Yeah.
I have no favorite Pokemon. I have nobody to transfer from the national dex to my current sword version of Pokemon that I'm not really going to play, and I'm probably going to send back to the company that I got it from. It doesn't mean anything to me. Like, they could have cut out 90% of all the Pokemon in the game and it wouldn't mean anything to me because I don't have an expectation. I have no favorite Pokemon.
No.
But like
I do. It's Magikarp and Psyduck.
Amanda and I did the video for Pokemon Shield, and like in the comment section, there were a few people that were just, they were very incensed at the idea that Game Freak would, took the stuff out, or the idea that Game Freak said, and this is one that I have not gone down this rabbit hole because frankly I've had other things to do, and I haven't had time to do it, but that Game Freak said the reason that they cut Pokemon was to work on to do more on the Pokemon that are in there, and then the Pokemon that are in there seem to be direct lifts of the 3DS versions of Pokemon. I've read some articles, even though I can't cite this. I encourage everybody to go do your own research, but I've read some articles saying that like the idea that Game Freak said that they said that they were cutting the Pokemon in order to work on the existing Pokemon is a misquote. That like they said they were cutting Pokemon to work on like features in the game.
Yeah.
So that what it ends up being is one of those like the Kojima quote thing where it's like what they said was that they were cutting Pokemon because they wanted to work on like, I don't know, the
Gigantamax stuff.
Yeah, the Mega Man, or like the trading or the camp
the wild open wild area, which is a first for the Pokemon games, because that's an area that actually scales with you.
Yeah, and to be honest, I want to make sure that when I say this, like I read an article about that. I don't actually know, so it's entirely possible maybe Game Freak was completely 100% they said that. I just haven't read a direct quote where they said, we are not putting all the Pokemon in because we are going to remake all of the old Pokemon and make all of their animations again. Instead of something where they said, we did not put these Pokemon in because we want to work more on the game, and then people interpreted that to mean the other thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like the people that are mad heard that one thing, and I swear to God, I've read a couple articles.
They were going to be mad regardless, I feel like.
In any case, 6 million units. So it's one of those things where probably not going to change anything.
Yeah. Also, to say that they just lifted the assets directly from the 3DS games and didn't do any work is a crock of shit, because there's clearly the work that had they took the wireframes or whatever to help save time from the 3DS games, but they put work into it because this game looks better than the 3DS versions. I should know, I own them.
Yeah.
But even then, like it also, again, I want to reiterate, it's a fucking kids game.
I have no dog in this fight. I'm just saying the words of the things that have happened.
I know, but it's just the reason it sells so well is because the people who actually the game is for are buying it because they don't give a shit about that. They just want a fun Pokemon game.
Sure.
And guess what? I had fun playing it. Is it the greatest Pokemon game ever made? No.
Yeah.
Is it the best game ever made? No. Is it a perfectly serviceable Pokemon game that I had a lot of fun playing it and catching Pokemon and battling other trainers and enjoying myself? Yes.
Okay.
But it's just like,
I'm not arguing with you.
Oh, I know you're not. I'm just pointing out that like I feel like
feel like you're digging a hole, but I mean, people, you get into trouble. You always get into this trouble you grow up with a franchise, and most of the like some franchises will evolve over time to age with you, right? I thought the Harry Potter books are great because the longer they go on, the kind of darker and more edgy they get. So you can kind of start reading them. Like if you were reading them when they were coming out, you start reading them when you're like 8 or 9, and they're great for an 8 or 9-year-old. And then like as you age up, it's like the books get more sophisticated and darker and whatnot. Yeah. Some properties start in a place and they don't evolve into with you, and that's what I feel this Pokemon is. Like when Amanda and I played it, I'm like, this seems like a fine game, seems like a fine JRPG, right?
Yeah.
It does not appeal to me at all. It's too gentle. It's too gentle, and I need more guns and swords and ninjas and explosions.
I mean, there are definitely swords in the game, but they're Pokemon.
Do the Pokemon bleed? Do they even look beat up when you beat them up? Do they get like the hash marks on their face and black eyes?
No, I'm just
stuff?
saying there are Pokemon that are actual swords.
Okay.
Like they're floating swords.
Can you stab a person with the Pokemon sword?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Like a human? You kill a human with the Pokemon sword? No.
I mean, it probably happens in like the untalked about stuff.
It's not a game for me. Anyway,
Sirfetch'd has a leak that is in the shape of a fucking sword.
Okay.
And he fights people with it.
That's great.
It's fucking great.
That's great. I hope everybody has fun. And you know what? If you have a problem with this, apparently there's also a guy out there trying to mod all the Pokemon the back end that are gone. So
you know what? I'm okay with that. At least that person's like, you know what?
Just making a solution for themselves. They took one of the dogs. What are the dogs? The little corgis?
Oh, the electric dogs.
Farbagors?
Yappers?
Yompers? I don't know.
I don't know all the Pokemon names. I feel bad for that.
And
Yampers.
And he brought in this a person on Twitter using a hex editor that brought some models in from Let's Go Eevee, strangely enough, and then they were able to kind of like integrate it into. They like replaced one of the Yampers with a Pokemon that isn't even in the game, and then they got the animations working, and they're like, well, there's a bunch of fight stuff, and there's probably stuff left to go, but they're going to try to fix Pokemon. So great. That's great. Everything's great. If you like the game, great. If you don't like the game, help this man mod it to be the game that you want. Make your own Pokemon game with blackjack and hookers.
Then when you put it online, get a cease and desist order.
Do not publish it until it is 100% done, and then put it in a lot of places.
Yeah, don't announce it.
Yes,
just put it in a lot of places.
Yes,
and hope to God no news outlet picks it up, and then you get the cease and desist order.
Oh, they're going to. You just have to make sure it gets far enough into the wild that Nintendo can't get their mitts on it. All right. We've got a few more Nintendo things. Now, this is one that I don't like. So, you know, when Nintendo started with their handheld stuff, like Super Mario Run was fun. You just bought it for $5, right?
Yeah.
The Fire Emblem was a very gachapon, trying to get new characters.
Yeah.
Like I kind of got that, but you could kind of play it all on its own. It was fine.
Yeah.
The Mario Kart apparently has been.
I never played it, and I never downloaded it, but I've heard it's been nothing but a shit show.
Yeah, and then now apparently, Animal Crossing is getting a subscription. So.
Okay.
There's an $8 a month subscription for Animal Crossing. There's also like a $3 one that gives you you get fortune cookies that you can open up that are basically, they're just loot boxes. You get loot boxes every month. You also get it takes you 24 hours to build a thing if you're regular, and it takes 30 minutes to do it if you've got this cookie depot thing. And that's like, I felt like Nintendo's whole thing was they were going to make mobile games that weren't like this, that weren't these kind of crappy cash craps.
Goddamn Tom Nook.
Especially Tom Nook's getting his, especially because like Animal Crossing. I mean, it's supposed to be just like an easygoing time, right? Not like. I don't know. In any case,
it's actually right on brand with the whole Tom Nook thing. That the Animal Crossing is the one that went this route.
Okay. Again,
strangely on brand.
Not to just repeat myself, but
it's bad though.
I don't care about Animal Crossing. It's not a game for me. But this does seem bad. I mean, like what the thing with Mario Kart was that the Mario Kart subscription was like $5 a month, and that's like what it cost to get that whole Apple Arcade was $5 a month. And Mario Kart also did a thing where they were putting bots in, but then making them have names that didn't make them seem like bots, and so that you won all the time, so you felt like you were doing good, but you weren't actually racing against anybody. I don't know. Also, I'm not a big mobile gaming guy, so
Yeah, I kind of weaned off of it, especially since the Switch came out.
yeah. Let's see. From there, let's keep going down the list of the normal offenders. So Bobby Kotick did an interview.
Oh, Bobby Kotick.
Yep. Where he basically said, what he said, he didn't want my responsibility is to make sure that our communities feel safe, secure, comfortable, satisfied, and entertained. And so that doesn't convey to me that the right to have a platform for a lot of political views. I think my responsibility is to satisfy our audiences and our stakeholders, our employees, and our shareholders. Basically saying that Activision should have no political affiliations. People shouldn't be talking about politics in Activision games. Obviously, Activision owns Blizzard or is partnered with Blizzard. I don't know what the relationship there is.
Blizzard.
They own Blizzard directly. So this is kind of him weighing in on...
The company is called Activision Blizzard, so yeah, they're...
Yeah, but I always thought that it was more of a partnership because Activision...
They own Blizzard.
Okay.
My paychecks came from Activision when I worked there.
Yeah. So, I don't know. This just seems kind of tone deaf, like, especially because...
It does.
For years, I feel like these companies have been like, ooh, it's a social space where you'll connect with other people and you can communicate with players from around the world. And it's like, well, that means people are going to be talking about things like you can't control what they talk about. You can't just be like, you're connected to your friends everywhere, but don't talk about politics. Just play this game where a bunch of United States Special Forces guys go to the Middle East and shoot a bunch of Russians. But don't talk about politics.
You know, also the comment of we owe it, you know, I owe it to make sure that the fans are getting good games and that we are doing our due diligence to our shareholders.
Yeah.
When the political thing everyone's been talking about, which is the whole China thing,
mm-hmm.
There's a company that's owned by the government in China that is a shareholder in Activision.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. This is I've been fascinated by this situation for a long time, John, because it's been one time where it's like there is no middle ground with this, especially considering that I mean, I don't know if you keep track of this stuff, John, but like there's an unspoken agreement in Hong Kong where the military and the police will not go onto campuses and that's kind of considered like if the protesters protest on campus and they don't leave campus, that like the two will not interact with each other.
Yeah.
And the police have been pushing into campus, and the students on the campus have been like setting cars on fire and throwing Molotov cocktails at the police. And like the Chinese military has come in, and so far all they've done is clean up on some of the roads and places. But like, this is not going away. Like, that's the problem with this particular thing, is that like this situation is not going away, and there's no splitting the difference. Yeah. There's no splitting the difference between because either we can talk about what's going on in Hong Kong or we can't. And if we're talking about it, China don't like it. They're going to want you to make people shut up. And if we're not talking about it, then people are mad because they want to talk about it, and they don't want fucking Bobby Kotick telling them what they can and can't talk about. Yeah. So, all right, next up on the hit parade, we've done Activision, we've done Nintendo, we've done Google, we've done Valve. How about a little Bethesda?
Sure.
How about a little Fallout 76 for you, John?
I haven't talked about Fallout 76 since... Did we talk about it last week?
I don't believe we talked about it last week.
The week before that, then.
So Bethesda apparently has been... there's this whole thing where they banned this guy that runs this website called Map76. It's a fan of Fallout 76, and he likes the game, and he has this tool that he's got online to like set up where things are, because he found a bug and then went to use a third-party mod to try to recreate the bug, and then because he used any third-party mod, they suspended his account forever, even though he was basically just trying to tell Bethesda, there is a game-breaking bug in your game here. I was trying to recreate it, and then you banned me. I promise I won't do this again. Also, he wanted a refund for his Fallout 76... What the fuck is it called? Camp American. What's the subscription dumb thing that
I
they've
don't
got?
fucking know.
First, Fallout 76 First or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of this kind of just is going to go back to the same old, same old. You and I have talked about Fallout 76 a bunch of times. There's not anything new here. Bethesda's lost their goddamn minds, and I feel like they just don't know how to be a company anymore or how to run a video game. Like, if I was Bethesda, I would, try to give people a lot of latitude in how they play Fallout 76, considering it's been largely kind of a fucked up failure, and the last thing you need is for every fucking week there to be a new thing for people to be upset about in your game. So like if some guy's trying to tell you how to break the game, he found a bug, and then maybe he's running a third-party app to try to do a thing, and I understand that's against your thing, but maybe say, hey, you have to stop running that third-party app instead of like, banned, you're banned, you can ban, get the fuck out of here. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
But hey, at least they went a whole week without something.
Yeah, I didn't look very hard last week. There might have been. We had XO19 to talk about. There might have been something.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Okay, so we've done Microsoft. We've done Activision. We've done Steam. We've done Bethesda. Who else, John? Who else do we need to get to? You want to take a guess?
Is it BioWare?
It's Anthem. It's close. You're close. Yes, it is BioWare. Because I was
going to say, you're like, it's Anthem. I'm like, that is BioWare.
So this isn't actually a bad story. Well, you might consider one way or the other. But apparently, there was a report on Kotaku that they are tearing Anthem to the ground to try to rebuild it in a way that is fun and good. And also fun. Apparently, this is going to be either like Anthem 2.0 or Anthem Next or Anthem whatnot. But apparently they are drastically changing the loot, the world, the mission structure, everything. They're basically going back to the drawing board. And I got to say, I mean, good luck to you, Anthem. Yeah. Like, people still give me shit for liking Anthem. I didn't think it was quite as bad, but I still like flying around in Iron Man suits. So if they could make it fun, that would be great.
Have fun.
I just feel really bad for BioWare Austin and that they inherited this fucked up mess from everybody.
Yeah, well.
We're running out of time. Let's go a little faster here. That was a good thing. The bad thing was apparently Origin freaked out a bunch of people last week. EA freaked out a bunch of people last week because they had a two-factor authentication thing on Origin that you could sign up for, and then when it went live, you would get like a 1 month free access to their back catalog game program.
Yeah.
So apparently last week, bunch of people got an email that just said like something's been activated on your Origin account, and what it was that subscription, but that it freaked people out because they basically nobody's used their Origin account, and then they suddenly just got a message saying something got activated.
So a bunch of people thought that their accounts were compromised. Like I saw one guy claiming, he's like, "Welp, I guess somebody hacked my account and used their own credit card to sign up for this service. Well, I got my account back and changed the password, so fuck you."
Yeah.
And people were like, "No, that was because of this. No one hacked your account.
Yep. So there's that. From there, we move on to Red Dead Redemption 2, where one of the oldest things, I don't know how this continues to happen, John, but apparently last week there was a bug that came up.
No.
Where, I don't know if you've seen this before. It happened in Dark Souls 2. It happened in, there was another game that happened in. Apparently, the core degradation in Red Dead Redemption 2 on the PC was somehow tied to the frame rate clock.
Oh.
So if you were running the game on your badass PC at 100 frames per second, your cores were just like, whereas if you went back and locked the frame rate at 30 frames per second, it was regular. This happened in Dark Souls 2 with item degradation. Like, it happened a lot faster if your frame rate was higher. I'm sure there's some technical reason why this stuff happened, but it seems weird to me that it's not something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just not something that QA gets on their radar, or maybe they don't have badass, liquid cooled 150 frames per second computers to test it on. In any case, the good news for this one is that it got patched out last week, along with a patch that did a bunch of other stuff. So everything is cool in the realm of Red Dead, but Let's see. We're going to go through these pretty fast. PUBG is getting rid of the crates where you have to buy a key to unlock them.
Okay.
Apparently, you're just going to be able to get the crates and then unlock them. So you're not going to have to buy a separate key anymore. And then on December 4th, Rocket League is doing that update where they used to have their own loot box and key system where they're getting rid of that. And you just get materials and then you trade those materials in directly for the thing that you want instead of having a random box that opens. So that's happening.
Good job on that, too.
The Gaming Awards announced their nominees.
Yeah. I saw some of those.
Big old lists.
Nintendo sent out a list of all the Nintendo games that were on it.
Yeah, it seems pretty standard. It seems like Control, Death Stranding, Sekiro are like the big ones that seem like they're in just about every category. Then you've got, Apex and Smash and stuff. I'd forgotten how much of the Game Awards has morphed these days into like best esports event, best esports player, best esports league coach, best esports league.
Yeah, and then like they have a bunch of like superfluous.
Yeah,
like I love how the best family game.
It's all Nintendo. Yeah, it's all Nintendo.
Like it's literally all Nintendo games.
Luigi's Mansion, Ring Fit Adventure, Mario Maker 2, Smash Ultimate, Yoshi's Crafted World. So I looked through here. Everything seemed like it was kind of
also like there's like 12 different categories for indie game. There's the fresh indie game, and there's best indie game. Then there's like indie game with something other
independent game. Freshest indie game and independent game are two separate categories. Yes. And a lot of them are the same games. Mobile games. In any case, as I've always said for a long time, award shows are garbage. They mean nothing.
Well, I also find that typically if you find two categories that are pretty much the exact same category, just worded slightly different, and all of the games that are in it are the same games, are in both categories, what that essentially means is that they really wanted to give an award to two games.
Yeah. But they just had to do a separate category.
And are trying to do a separate category to justify it.
Yep. The big ones I think it's interesting is Game of the Year is Control, Death Stranding, RE2, Sekiro, Smash Brothers Ultimate, and Outer Worlds. Did Smash Brothers Ultimate come out this year? No, it came out last year, didn't it?
I think it came out last year after
the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
that
think
makes sense.
In any case,
maybe no. It had to have come out last year.
I know it came out
over Christmas.
Yeah, no, I know it definitely came out last year, but I'm just like I can't remember if it came out before or after, but it may have come out far enough
that it couldn't have been considered for last year's awards. Yeah. Remember, the Game Awards don't mean anything. They don't mean anything, and but what they do mean is we get a bunch of new trailers. So that's the reason the Game Awards is the thing. Let's see. Speaking of trailers, we got some ones. They're stormtroopers in Fortnite, John.
Yes.
That okay? They did all that Thanos stuff. Maybe they'll do a Star Wars thing.
Yeah, finally, the Marvel and Star Wars crossover we always wanted.
Yep. Stormtroopers fighting Thanos in Fortnite?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a fever dream sentence.
Yeah. And John Wick is there for whatever reason.
John Wick is also there. Have they ever had an event that crossed over? Batman and John Wick are fighting Thanos.
Because they also had the Batman event too. Holy shit, there's Marvel and DC and Star Wars all in the same game. Oh my.
Yep. We got a new One Punch Man, the Hero Nobody Knows trailer. It looks like there's just some new characters in here. We saw King. We saw Barbados or whatever the hell the guy is that had like the 5 heads that they were all fighting at the end of the season 1, and there's also Dream Saitama is in here now.
Yeah,
as like the first episode of One Punch Man for people who don't. Okay, this is like go watch One Punch Man if you don't want to know. Seriously, just go watch the first episode. That's all I'm going to talk about. In the first episode of One Punch Man, it is established Saitama is a superhero for fun. He's so strong that everybody he fights dies in one punch. And then at the end, these giant monsters come out of the ground, and they all die in one punch. But there's a whole bunch of them, and he has to fight them. And he's suddenly the thrill of fighting has been rekindled in him, and it turns out it's all a dream. So in this game, apparently they're going to be Saitama in his jammies, Dream Saitama, and he'll fight like normal instead of just one punching everybody as a nod to that thing where in his dream he actually had to fight. So. which is kind of, I mean, it's kind of good. It's such a strange game. Like, of all the games that were going to be one of these arena fighter games, the fact that we've got a One Punch Man one was kind of, I don't know. I guess they did everything else. They did Kill a Kill this year, for fuck's sake. So why not? Why not One Punch Man? Trover Saves the Universe is coming out. Oh, also One Punch Man is coming out in February of next year.
Okay.
Trover Saves the Universe is coming out on the Xbox One and the Switch. Obviously not the VR version, but Trover worked perfectly well.
Why doesn't Trover Saves the Universe work with the Labo VR? Huh?
That's a good question.
Why doesn't it?
I don't know.
It should.
I don't have an answer for that. Maybe it does. Maybe it will.
Get on that, Nintendo.
There you go.
And whoever makes the Trover game.
Because you'd have to hold it up to your face like with Zelda and Mario, and it would be really awkward. They just need a strap. They need some kind of strap to strap it to your face. Anyway, November 28th on the Switch, December 3rd on the Xbox One. Trover Saves the Universe was great. I thought it was really fun. It's perfectly functional without VR. I think it works a little bit better in VR, but like Michael played that entire game out of VR.
Yeah.
So
I thought the jokes wore after a little bit.
Okay. Did you end up playing the full game?
No.
Oh, okay.
Literally the only thing good about it was the jokes, and the jokes started to kind of wear after a while to the point of that I was like, all right, this is not fun anymore.
Yeah, I can't get enough of that weird Justin Roiland stuttery talking like improv. I love it, but I could definitely see how you could get tired of that after 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Samurai Showdown is coming out on the Switch. We're getting it. That's this year's, the 2019 Samurai Showdown is coming out on the Switch in Q1 of next year. And if you pre-order it, you get access to the Neo Geo Pocket version of Samurai Showdown 2. Okay. I mean, just FYI, everybody.
Yeah.
I like Samurai Showdown all right, but
I just think it's weird because in the video, it shows that the screen is a picture of a Neo Geo Pocket,
right,
with another screen inside of it
that's super tiny.
And like I get it, the screen on these games were tiny, and like if you the actual size of the Neo Geo Pocket on your screen is probably the actual size of the Neo Geo Pocket.
Yeah.
And the screen's not that big on it. And they probably just didn't want to stretch it and blow out the image.
Yeah.
But
so it seems really tiny.
it seems really weird.
Yeah. And let's see. Last but not least, last week we got the announcement of Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 1 was a pretty cool Diablo clone. You were telling me you've never heard of it, never played it. So
yeah.
Path of Exile 2 looks like it's going to be, bigger, better, more graphics, more everything. Still looks dark and gritty.
Yeah,
Diablo.
looks like a Diablo clone.
Yep.
Like even down to the UI.
The red orb and the blue orb. Yeah, it's got a few things that it does differently that I think are pretty good. But the fact is, it's always been a really good free-to-play game if you need a Diablo clone. So that'll be coming out. I don't know if there's a release date for it. They have a whole Exile Con. Like they have a whole convention for Path of Exile, which
kind of like with what is it, that other MMO that has their own convention?
Warframe. TennoCon.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's finish up with a few things. Amy Hennig has started a new studio to make games. So last time we heard from her,
she can actually make one this time.
Yeah, she was making,
and and that's not a dig on her. That's a dig on,
fucking EA.
And giving her a game, and then
it's called Far Wars 2626. That's her new game. So yeah, that's happening, and I'm sure it'll be a year before we hear anything from them. Activision seems like they're probably working on a new Crash Bandicoot project.
Okay.
We don't have very much more outside of that, but we're probably going to be seeing it sometime soon. Strangely enough, John, we got news last week that Dead Island 2 is still being developed. You remember we had the trailer with Jack Black or whatever?
Yeah, Jack Black was doing a random voice.
Yep.
But yeah.
Apparently it's still being worked on. So they said...
Well, they did say it was not canceled.
Yep. Dead Island is a very important brand for us. We've got to get it right, says from the Coke Media head, Clemens Kundratitz. It's just a testimony of our dedication to get it right. It's probably been in development hell, but...
Yeah. They're trying
And
to, you know what it is? The game's done. They're just trying to find a track to outdo Hoodoo You Voodoo. Because
that's the only reason that we haven't. Yeah. Okay.
because it didn't really work with the second game, whatever the second one was. They were like, oh,
Riptide.
yeah, with Riptide, yeah, they didn't like whatever the song was in Riptide didn't outdo the Hoodoo You Voodoo bitch.
Yeah.
And they're like, ooh, we got to work on that. We got to get the right song, and they just keep rewriting that one song over and over. But the game's done.
Yeah. It didn't stand up to the third-person action game or the MOBA or
Oh, good God.
There was like 5 Dead Island games, and I think that nobody played. I don't think most people even finished the first one. So.
Yeah, there was Dead Island Riptide, Escape from Dead Island,
something like that.
Was that what it was? The one that was cell shaded.
Yeah,
and you played the amnesiac on the island or whatever.
Think
it
so.
also wasn't that great because it was like this weird trippy game.
We played it, didn't we?
Yeah, you did. I also played it and actually beat it, and it's weird and fucking trippy, and like it's all like weird dream logic.
Okay. So like what Kalawara's gunslinger kind of thing, or
but not like it's not like a narration thing, but it's like this weird dream logic to it. Like the story, not the gameplay.
Okay.
The gameplay was pretty much third person bullshit, but yeah. And then like there was, like you said, there was the MOBA game, which I don't know if that ever got out of beta.
Probably.
I know we played it for a super awesome video game show because I fucking played that game for an entire week just so I could actually know how to play it when we did it, and I hated every second of it.
Oh, MOBAs. Remember when you played the DC one for like a week?
Yeah,
also?
it was like the same week. The DC one, the fucking Dead Island one, and the fucking there was like 3 other MOBAs that I also had to play.
The Transformers one, Dead Island, Escape Dead Island.
Yeah, Escape Dead Island.
Dead Island Epidemic, the closed beta. Wow, video got 3,000 hits. That's back when we got lots of hits on Rage Select. Let's see. Gearbox says they've got the first DLC for Borderlands 3 is coming out. It's called Moxie's Heist of the Handsome Jackpot. If you want more Borderlands 3,
Still haven't played that game.
Yeah, I don't know if I physically own it, but if I do, you can take it. And last but not least, for fun, Zos, I really wish that I had the PC to play Red Dead Redemption 2, John, because I've been looking at some of the mods that are in Red Dead Redemption 2, and there's one that I've got here that I really, really want. For us to be able to play that lets you basically just adjust the size of your character model, so you can just make either a gigantic or a very tiny character. And I love this screenshot of a gigantic Arthur Morgan on a gigantic horse just towering over the regular people in the game. Apparently there's also some nude models in the game that you can switch out. So that's what I want. I want a nude, filthy Albert Schnitzel that's like the size of a house.
Still with the bear hat.
With the bear hat, yeah. Well, not total. I mean, the bear hat, nothing else, you know.
Bear hat stays on.
Yep, just run around doing stuff. So, yeah, Rage Select, you guys just
I have
send
no
me
idea what voice y'all use for.
kind of that general Southern. Send me a computer. And then send me a copy of Red Dead Redemption 2, and we'll make it happen. Except I also need mod tools to go 2/3 of the way through the game, because I'm not fucking going to sit down and play the PC version of Red Dead all the way up to where we are. Just don't tell me about Dutch's plan. Oh, man, what
if we just stick to the plan?
What if at the end of Red Dead 2 there was a mod, and it's like Albert Schnitzel and Dutch, the size of kaijus over Blackwater, just punching each other. Just, fuck your plan. I would play that game. I'd play it tomorrow. And that's the first part of the Rage Select podcast. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to answer questions. Everybody stick around. We'll see you in a minute.
Hi.
John.
Yes.
It's question time.
Oh.
It's time for questions. Are you psyched? Are you ready? Are you ready to answer some questions?
Sure.
Okay, good.
You're so pent up. Like you're it's just you need to relax a little bit.
My phone died 4 days ago. I've been without a cell phone. I think I'm just really on edge right now.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, my car's kind of fucked up. You know, it's not been the greatest week in the history of Jeff from Rage Select.
I can understand that.
So, yeah. Also, I've just been drinking a lot of coffee today. So
that can get you pretty amped.
Yeah. MailRageSelect.com is the email address. And our first question this week comes from Paul. Paul writes in and says, "Dear Rage Select Podcast, the missus and I finally bought The missus and I finally bought and own our first home. We're excited to start this new chapter, but we already made a grave mistake. We moved into a new building in North Carolina, and it seems that we have no good internet. We didn't look into the new services we'd be getting in our excitement, and the best we can get is 1.5 megabits per second. It reminded me of how one of the problems with the new generation of gaming and services was the need for a good internet connection. With moving date coming up, I know that I'll lose a lot of my online fun, so I wanted to ask, what is something I can do to continue to enjoy my gaming life since I now need internet to play games most of the time? I love single player games, but even they still need to be connected to Xbox Live to be able to keep playing. Do you think I'll need to switch to disc games again but not have the updates come in? Does the Switch offer offline play? Love to hear some advice on my new life, online or house ownership. Sorry for the long email. I'm still excited and nervous all the same time. P.S. What's a must buy for a new home that most people don't really think of? Love, Paul.
Well, first off, congratulations on your home. That's awesome. Even with the internet thing, which sucks, hopefully something will change in the near future and you'll be able to get better internet. Mm-hmm. But first of all, I think that's amazing. I haven't bought a house yet. We're probably going to try to buy a house sometime within the next couple of years.
Good luck.
So that's,
this town sucks for that.
I know. But so I'm just saying, congratulations.
Yes.
Definitely need that. Mm-hmm. As far as things that you to deal with games, like, I mean, the Switch doesn't really require, unless you're like, because, for example, Amanda, while yes, her Switch is connected to our wireless network to the internet, mm-hmm. she doesn't sign up for the Switch Online, mm-hmm. so she doesn't play online. Most of the games, unless you're playing a game that has like Smash Brothers or something, or it doesn't really require updates regularly. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, Pokemon. I got it, I popped it in, didn't require installation, no update, just you can play it right there.
Yep.
Most of the games on the Switch are like that. If you're
most of the Nintendo first party stuff.
Yeah, most of the Nintendo first party stuff. There's a few games that instead of it has you download like a patch, which is actually like the other half of the game that's not on the cartridge,
right?
Kind of thing. But most of the first party stuff. So if you're a Nintendo fan, because I think he mentioned the Switch somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. If you're a Nintendo fan, you're like, should I get a Switch? If you like those games, they'll work immediately right out of the gate, mm-hmm. And so so you're good there. As far as like with Xbox and PlayStation, I think there's going to be a little bit more tricky, because while there are a lot of games that may only require one update.
It's probably going to be a pretty big update.
It's probably going to be a pretty big update. And there are some games that flat out won't work unless you have an internet connection.
So I ran into this with the Xbox One with Game Pass when I had a day where my internet went down. And I had some games on Game Pass that I wanted to buy or wanted to play. And I tried to open one up when I was offline. And I don't know how it works for the PlayStation. I'm pretty sure it works the same way. But for the Xbox, basically, one Xbox is considered your home Xbox, like the first one that you register on. Now, in the case of my problem, I sold my old Xbox to Michael to knock a little bit of money off of the Xbox One X. So technically, that old Xbox One was my home Xbox. And so when I was offline, it wouldn't let me play without going online.
Can't you?
Yes, but that's what
you just didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I didn't know it was a thing. Thing. So once I got back online, I was able to register my Xbox One as my home Xbox, as my primary Xbox. And once that happens, you can totally play offline. Totally play. You can download a Game Pass game, play it offline. You don't have to get online at all. So I think that you probably can still game if your primary thing is single player games. I think you'll be fine. It's just you're going to have to deal with the update, like you said. But I feel like if you get a game and you set it to update and then you go to bed, right? Even if it's a slow internet connection, let it update over the next day.
Yeah.
Some are going to be a problem, but I mean, if you're mostly
Like if you're trying to install the Master Chief Collection, you're going to be there for a while.
Yeah,
because even on fast internet connections, that was like a day and a half of downloading.
Yeah, but what I will say is that once the game is installed, once the updates are installed, you're probably fine. And for the most part, you're probably going to have to do just like a little bit of due diligence about what kind of game it is. Like, so for example, when Death Stranding came out, I put Death Stranding in. I think it had some kind of patch. I don't think it was a huge patch.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was.
Oh, no, I bought it digitally, so I don't even know. But the thing is that that game was pretty solid by itself. Like a lot of Japanese games, I feel like, don't have the same problem that we see with American games where they have a huge day one patch because they essentially ship 80% complete, right? And then there's a big last minute bug fix patch that you got to get on the first day to get it all up to spec.
Yeah.
But like some of these things, I mean, like the other thing that you could do, Paul, is look for games. Okay, look for games that have been out for a while, so that when you install the patch, like with Jedi Fallen Order had a patch last week to address some stuff, but like The Witcher 3 is complete. It is feature complete, right?
Yeah.
You can put it in. You may have to do a patch, but once that patch is done, you're going to be good to go. They're not going to be putting out a new patch next week. There's not going to be a lot of glaring stuff that's going on. And I think that if you focus on maybe with PlayStation 4 and with Xbox One games, like just kind of if you can get like do that thing that people do where they're like a year behind in video games.
Yeah.
Because if you can get like if you were to go out and buy a physical copy of like The Witcher 3 Game of the Year with all the DLC edition, I think those generally also tend to be mostly updated already. Like there may be a small thing, but they're not going to be as big as a day one patch. So I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I remember there was a game a little while back, like I want to say within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
That when it shipped, the game was completely unplayable unless you installed the day one patch.
Yeah.
And I want to say it might have been a single player mode for the Call of Duty games, and like even like the multiplayer was completely unplayable unless you did that patch. Like if your console's disconnected from the internet and you put the disc in, it would tell you it needs to connect to the internet to be able to play the game.
Right.
And it wouldn't even do anything until you connected to the internet.
Well, earlier this year, Doom had that, right? Those Doom releases where they had to, you got to log into Bethesda.net, but then that got kind of taken care of.
No, I'm not even talking about that. Like where it wants you to log into some other third-party thing to verify something.
Just what was on the disc was an incomplete game.
Yeah, what was on the disc was not complete. Like it would. And again, I know. Again, I go back to it. The Master Chief Collection was definitely that. They even said they came out ahead of time and were like, "Hey, what you're buying here only has like 1/3 of the actual data."
Right.
And the patch was like a 64 gig patch that was the rest of the game.
Right.
And like you couldn't play any, like you could if you didn't connect to the internet, it wouldn't even, your Xbox won't even run the game.
Right.
Unless to run that first installation.
Or I've seen plenty of them where it would like it'll run an installation, then it'll like for the Master Chief Collection where it would do a thing. I don't know if this was like that or not, where it will boot up, but then it's downloading all the rest of the game. So like what you got was the launcher. Like you didn't get any of the data for the actual games.
Yeah. But like I said, so you may run into that. I feel like with the Switch you run into it less, but also at the same time it's a Switch, so it depends on your mileage of what games you want. Mm-hmm. I love the Switch. You know, I love the Xbox. I love the PS4. I love all three of the consoles. But
I will say, if you have an Xbox One, I don't know your situation, but if you have a job, like an office job, where you can bring your Xbox to work, plug in the network cable, turn it on, and then just don't connect it to anything. Just let it sit there and update on your company network, and then when you're done, turn it off and take it home. Then you should be able to play everything offline. Like maybe queue everything up at home.
I remember when I moved, and it was like there was like a month period, and I couldn't
Oh, you had no internet. I remember
I had
that.
no internet for like an entire month. And what was it? What was the game from the Saints Row people that came out?
Agents of Mayhem.
Agents of Mayhem came out, and Agents of Mayhem had a patch where they came out and said, "Hey, you need to install this patch. If you don't install this patch, the game is actually fundamental. There's a huge bug that like it makes it so you cannot play the game."
Yeah.
So like, I ended up taking my console to work, going into the company game room, plugging it into one of the spare TVs they had in there, and then just put a note on it, "Do not touch," and then left the room while it was not only updating my console, but updating every other game that was on my console, and updating, installing and updating Agents of Mayhem.
Yep.
All at the same time. It was funny because like I actually remember my manager coming out going, "Who has an Xbox connected in the game room that's sucking up all the bandwidth that we have in that game room?"
Also, another one, if your Switch does require you to do updates, since it's a Switch, if you've got a Starbucks or something near you where you can go connect to their Wi-Fi, because that's a portable console, right?
Yeah.
Sit there, let it update, dunzo, take it home, it's updated.
Yeah,
but
go to a place with free Wi-Fi, let it update, and then leave.
I mean, if you're dealing with single player games, though, I don't think there's very many of them. I mean, you can play Dark Souls offline, you can play Bloodborne offline, you can play Death Stranding offline. Death Stranding would be weird though because of all the weird integration with stuff that's online. But even that, I bet that would even probably work even on a slow internet connection because it's not like it's like an asynchronous multiplayer thing. So in Death Stranding, right, somebody builds a road and then it's like you see that road in your game, but that's not like updating. It's not like a fighting game where you've got to track the inputs from both sides all the time. It's just like one bit. I think, honestly, Paul, I think you're probably going to be okay. I think you're probably going to be all right.
For the most part, you'll be okay.
You're probably just going to have to do a little bit of planning on games. And then, you know what you're probably going to need to do is you're probably going to need to, like, when you're excited about a game, there's always stories out there. I've stopped reporting on them, but there are always stories out there about, like, Watch Dogs Legion is going to have a 70 gig day one patch, right? So you just need to, like, see which games are going to have a big patch, or which games, or maybe even the best thing to do is just don't buy a game until you know whether it's broken, right? Because if a game ships and there's all these things about how it's broken, like Red Dead 2 on the PC, right? Then you're going to,
WWE 2K20
or WWE 2K20. I thought you were past that, John. You'd
think. No, their account got hacked last Friday. It was hilarious.
Oh man. Their Twitter,
their Facebook, their Twitter, everything got hacked.
Man.
Actually, a bunch of 2K stuff got hacked. I'm surprised it wasn't in the news section about it. But yeah, like there is pretty funny. That's the only reason why it's fresh in my mind.
Okay. But I would say that you're probably going to have very little trouble with the Switch. With the Xbox, you can play offline. Like, we haven't reached that point yet where everything has to be online all the time, for the most part. And whenever something like that does happen that's not an MMO or Fortnite or whatever, people get mad at it, and they generally take it out. Like the Doom thing, they patch that out.
Yeah.
So, what's a thing for your new house that most people don't know that you're going to need, John?
I'm trying to think.
Like a ladder? Like a step stool or a ladder? You're going to need to do stuff on your own in your house. Big pack of air filters for your
garden hose.
For maybe?
Watering your lawn.
Yeah. Probably got a vacuum, and
you probably got a lawnmower, I'm going to assume, if you have, because he also said building, so I don't know if he actually has like a like if it's like a home.
Well, he said we moved into a new build in North Carolina, so
okay.
I switched that over.
Sorry, if you have like a yard, obviously lawnmower. Most people don't really think about that until a weed eater.
I've got it.
Like for me, the last thing I think about is lawn care.
Yeah.
So like the lawnmower, the weed eater, the like I said, the garden hose, all that stuff I didn't think about until
I got it, John. Got it.
What is it?
You move into a house, you need to go to Home Depot, you get $100, buy yourself a motherfucking grill. Start to learn the joys of grilling on your back patio.
I'm literally I was expecting at some point for you to go, you need an Instant Pot.
You need an Instant Pot. No.
And a what is it, sous vide, whatever the fuck it's
Sous
called.
vide, yep.
Yeah.
A sous vide machine and Instant Pot, and then you need the grill to finish them off. No, the thing is that you can't grill in like an apartment, right?
Yeah.
They won't let you put a hibachi or anything out on you're not supposed to anyway. And it's
People do.
but some people do, yeah. But like, you get yourself a grill, put it in the backyard, and you can sit in your backyard and you can grill. Joys of home ownership. You can look at your lawn, turn on one of those sprinklers that goes back and forth real lazy like. Get a beer, get the grill, let your dog run through the sprinkler, let your kids run through the sprinkler. Everybody runs through the sprinkler, and you drink your beer and you grill hamburgers. Then everybody says, "Yay, yay!" and they cheer. That's what happens. So that's what I would say. Let's see. Martin and Kat write in and say, "Hey, Jeff and John." Martin, who is a patron, this is an email from like 3 different people. So,
okay.
Martin writes in and wants to know if you have seen Dragon Ball Z abridged or SAO abridged. Bonus, which one did you like better and why? I have not seen either one of them.
I have seen a little bit of Dragon Ball abridged.
Okay.
Like maybe like the first
I'll ask.
like 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah. Was it good?
It's funny.
Okay. I have not done any Sword Art Online. I could not tell you anything about that show.
I couldn't tell you about that at all.
I watched the guy, the Mother's Basement guy. This guy does like anime stuff on YouTube.
Yeah. I know who Mother's Basement is.
I've watched him complain about Sword Art Online a bunch.
Yeah.
But I'm not really interested in. I'm just not interested in those animes where somebody gets pulled into an MMO. It just doesn't really work for me. The only one I like is the time I got reincarnated as a slime, and that's because it's kind of like the One Punch Man of fantasy animes. So
then there's the one about how do you feel about your mother and her
dual sword attack.
Yeah, it's about a guy who gets trapped in a fantasy world with his mother, and his mother turns out to be a badass.
Yeah, I watched one episode of that. She's like ditzy,
and his character's like not.
Yeah, there's like 3 swords for them to choose from, and like he chooses one, and they're like, it's the badass one, and the mom's just like, I'll take both, and they're like, wait, you can't do that. And she's like, I already did it, and I was like, all right. So then we've got another question from Katharina, sister and co-patron, insists that Dragon Ball Z was less fun or at least less coherent. I don't know. We were also wondering how you feel about Diablo 4. Kat is a Blizzard fangirl and also used to work for them for 9 whole years, which makes for a sweet lifetime love affair with their games. Smiley face. So
I wonder if Kaz worked there at the same time I did.
Yeah, maybe so.
Were you in Austin?
No idea. I have no idea. But I've got a full name for these folks, but I'll tell you later.
Oh no.
Diablo 4. I'm excited about Diablo 4. It looks fine.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I mean, I have a liking of Blizzard, so I mean, I think that the recent stuff is very disappointing, and
Do you talk about the Hong Kong controversy?
Yeah, the whole that
Blitzchung
stuff is a little disappointing, and it's going to take a lot to get me to actually like buy in.
Kind of pull you back into the...
Yeah, to pull you back in. But I'll also say, when I left Blizzard, outside of Overwatch, I haven't really played any of their games. Like, I didn't buy any of the consoles, like any of the console versions of Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play any of those.
Yeah.
The only one I really played was Overwatch.
Right. Well, I mean, outside of that, it was like Hearthstone, and I know that you've dabbled in cards, but Hearthstone was online multiplayer.
Yeah, I mean, I played it, but I didn't like get
you weren't into it.
Like,
right.
I wasn't into it.
And then WoW, I mean, I don't know.
I never was big into WoW.
Yeah.
I was, even when I got the job there, I was not big into WoW. I was very much like my franchises were Diablo. At the time, and I was like, oh shit, I'm working for the game company that made Diablo, and where's my Blackthorn sequel?
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Right.
But
StarCraft.
I and like 4 other people who worked there were the only ones who ever remember Blackthorn. But anyways.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for them Lost Vikings.
Yeah, or Lost Vikings. Fucking Lost Vikings is great.
They were in the Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah. But it's like, but since leaving Blizzard, the only game that really got me was Overwatch.
Yeah,
because it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So does Overwatch 2 look good? Yeah. Does Diablo 4 look good? Yeah. Will I play them? I don't know.
Yeah. Diablo is one of those games where I have a hard time getting excited about it because I just know that I'm going to play it and I'm probably going to like it. But it's one of those things where if I put Diablo 3 into my console or on my PC and I start playing it, I know I'll dump hours into it.
Yeah.
Like it's Diablo.
I mean,
but it's like a known quantity. It's kind of like Call of Duty, right? Where I'm like, I know what it is. I know what it's going to be. I saw the trailer for Diablo 4. I mean, it looked like they're going back to, but like it's like the World of Warcraft, the way that the lore in WoW has gone, and I'm like, I don't really remember all that much about Diablo 3's lore, and I'm not super excited about more lore from the Diablo verse. But
yeah, so I mean, and the only thing I'll really say is that as far as because of the whole Blitzchung thing, you know what, I'm holding them to the comment of don't judge us by what we're saying, judge us by our actions.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for their actions to match that.
Yeah.
And depending on what and I'm not expecting their actions to be like immediate. I'm looking at the long game. By the time those games come out,
sure,
if their actions prove to me that they heard what people had said and things are gonna be better, and that they're not gonna make those kind of reactions again, or that they show that they're listening to the community, then yeah, sure, I'll play those games. If not, probably won't.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say it, probably won't.
You could play Path of Exile 2 instead.
Yeah.
All right. Then the last question here is, what is the best song to listen to get pumped? Happy weekend, and that is from Martin and Kat. What's the best song to get pumped? I think You're the Best Around by Joe Esposito is one that gets me real pumped whenever I listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good one.
Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger's a good one. I tend to do covers, so like Eye of the Tiger being covered by Newfound Glory is pretty good.
Okay.
Or anything by Me First and the Gimme Gimmes.
Okay.
Is pretty much up there.
Anything that's on that? What was that? What's that mix? It was like the Blood Brothers Volume 1. That was all the 80s pumped up, and all the Stan
montage
Bush
music. It was like all the 80s montage music.
So everything from Rocky,
Rad, and
Break
Rocky
the Ice,
and,
the Iron Eagle, all those, man. That whole thing. That is like a 40-minute. Just getting fucking ready.
Yeah, like I was so happy when I found a streaming service that at the time had it.
Yeah.
And it was on there, and I was like, oh shit, this is that thing that Jeff did the video to that you told me about. I'm going to listen. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm going to work to this every day. And then like a couple of weeks later, it got pulled from that service. And I was like, son of a bitch.
Yep. It's look for Blood Bros, DJ. I don't remember what the names are. Here, let's just look it up while we're talking about it.
But
it's a great mix. It's a great mix. It's all those cheesy 80s songs. I don't think that the modern music gets me as pumped, but then I'm old, so maybe not.
Also, anything from Daft Punk's Discovery.
Yeah.
Like I fucking love that album so much, and that is kind of the album that when I need to kind of.
First Blood was the name of it, and it was I guess it's listed now as Mad Descent. I think it was a different thing before, but DJ DSJ and DJA. But yeah, it's a great one. It's a great one. Yeah. All right, let's see. I tell you what, this is a kind of just a public service announcement, but I think it's relevant. It's kind of relevant to Rage Select. Nima Hose writes in and says, hey, Jeff and John, before my question, I'd like to bring a problem to light your patrons might not realize because I didn't. I went on Patreon to up my pledge when I realized a year ago I lost my card and didn't update my information. Not giving my favorite people a few dollars to help them keep going, they're doing what they did best. I figured if I did that, a few other patrons might have accidentally done the same. Hope it helps. Also, is there any way to donate a one-time lump sum? I mean, yes. It's you just do whatever that amount is, and then that is your cap, and that'll be the one thing. But anyway, onward to the question. I finally started watching Love, Death, and Robots, and it got me thinking, with the rising cost of AAA games, what do you guys think about seeing more anthology-like game packages, somewhat like the Orange Box back in the day. 2 to 3, 5 to 10-hour games, smaller, short games with no filler, yet still a great $60 value when you package them together. Studios and publishers teaming up with smaller projects and spreading the cost around. Thanks for reading my question. Have a great day. And that's from your boy, Nemaho.
I'll be honest, I actually think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I would totally love to see it. In all honesty, I feel like, unfortunately, what you would end up getting, the closest we're getting to that is, what is it, the Dark Pictures anthology, the Man of Medan is from, because it's a series of smaller games under the Dark Pictures anthology title. And then once they all come out, they'll probably sell that as a complete buy-all, 4 or 3 or 6 games,
right?
As one giant anthology thing. And if you never played any of those games, that'd be a great value. But I feel like you would see that more, because I don't think you would see a thing where a bunch of different developers coming together to make one anthology, because
I feel like there's been some. Well, yeah, no. I was thinking about like the Devolver bootleg was like 8 games, but that was all the same.
Yeah, it was all the same guy. Yeah,
and I feel like sometimes you see a sale where people like Bandai Namco will be like, buy Jump Force and One Piece for $60, but there's never. I don't feel like it's cross.
I feel like Devolver has been the more consistently doing that, but it's never like the closest I think they did was like the Devolver Game Jam.
Yeah,
which again I fucking love Game Jam, because what you got is, it's like, as it came out, it was only like 5 episodes long, but it was like a series, and it was like a documentary about 2 guys who were indie developers who were put together at random, and they spent 1 weekend making a game. And and it was recorded by an actual documentary crew of them coming up with the idea, like from the idea to the finish of like any actual game jam would be.
Sure.
And then you also got the demo, or you got the game that they made.
Okay.
And it was 5 episodes long. I thought it was fucking brilliant, because it was the game where the game's like great, no, but it was fun. And plus I got these really cool documentary where I got to see independent people and how they made games, and also working with people they had never worked with prior to that.
Yeah.
Maybe they had known each other, maybe they didn't, kind of thing. It was very interesting. And I don't know if it's still on Steam, but if it is, check it out. I fucking loved it.
Okay.
But outside of Devolver, I don't really see a lot of companies wanting to do that. I think the best we could hope for is maybe something like basically like Devolver going to all the different companies that it does publishes for and asks for each of them to create something to do and release it, because I feel like Devolver's a big enough company but also small enough. It's a big enough indie company that they could do that.
Yeah.
And they have deals with so many other indie developers that those people would be totally down for something like that.
Sure.
But I feel like you would never get it from like an EA or a Bandai.
Well, I feel like when you get that is what I was talking about, where it's like, 3 different games with a kind of a weird through line that are all under the same publisher, where it's like, oh, we got a pack where you can get Modern Warfare and Jedi Fallen Order. Even though they don't normally do that much anymore, but
I mean, but what he's more talking about though is something that where the whole game is released as an anthology by itself.
Yeah.
And whether it's like, hey, we're gonna make, I want all these different groups to make. I mean, I would love to see like, I don't know, like EA go to it's like, we're gonna set aside 4 or 5 different teams. And well, actually there is an anthology, there totally fucking is, of Amnesia Fortnite through Double Fine. It's kind of the same thing. You get, if you buy Amnesia Fortnite, you're getting the demos of all of those games. And then yes, they're not completed games. It's another game jam kind of situation.
Right.
But that's totally another thing. Amnesia Fortnite, like it'd be nice that Microsoft, if the problem is that a lot of your companies like EA, Microsoft, Sony, Bethesda, whoever,
sure,
they don't want to because to do this cohesively, they either have to put one team that's making a bunch of games,
right,
or they have to pull out multiple teams to make a bunch of games.
Sure.
And they don't want to do that. They want those teams working on AAA titles.
Yeah,
that
obviously
are going to sell. And so it's going to be harder, but I would fucking love it if someone would actually do that. I actually think it'd be fucking great.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. One has to wonder whether you would get, because whenever they do that kind of thing, like the Devolver bootleg, that was fun when we played it, right? But I don't think I would ever play one of those games all the way to completion. Like it was one of those things where it was like fine to look at a little bit, but like I'm trying to think like if you put My Friend Pedro and the Untitled Goose Game and I don't know, just pick Slay the Spire in a pack together. I feel like it would be a little weird because, I mean, Untitled Goose Game isn't that long, but, those other games, they have some, like, length and replayability to them to a point where I don't know if I would get through all of them. I don't know if I ended up splitting my time between all of them, I feel like I would never play any of them enough. And then if I ended up playing one of them, like when the Orange Box came out, Half-Life 2 was already out, right?
Yeah, well, Half-Life 2 was already out, so was Team Fortress, but Portal, if I remember correctly, at least for the console.
Yeah, it was something like that. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it would work. I think it would be like a VR game situation where you'd have to make very specific games specifically tailored to be like a 2-hour experience, right? So like 3 or 4 2-hour games packaged together.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It goes back to exactly what you were saying, but I don't know that I wouldn't agree with the big publishers of like if you have a really talented team, rather than having them do a 2-hour game.
I also feel like the big talented, the bigger companies would be like, well, if we have one team working on a bunch of these and they finish one of the games and then start working on the second one, that game is just sitting there wasting money.
Right.
Why not release it?
Yeah.
And then, because again, what he's talking about is something where the only way to get the games is through this anthology release.
Yeah.
And it's most likely it wouldn't happen.
I agree with you that it seems like a cool idea. I just don't know that I can see a way where it would be more viable than, say, selling Untitled Goose Game by itself, right? Like that you probably get more money, more eyes on by having a game with a great concept by itself. And if the game doesn't have the strength to stand on its own, then what you're talking about packaging a several medium games.
Well, like
together,
I said, the biggest example I can give is like the Dark Pictures anthology, because or even what was it, the live action movies, the live action like games that was oh God, what the hell were they called? It was all the one studio. It was like the Doctor.
Oh, like the
thing.
Mysterious Case of Dr. Decker.
Yeah,
and,
that one.
God, what were the
there
rest?
There was the Late Shift,
shape-shifting one.
Well, it's like it was Late Shift, the Mysterious Case of Dr. Decker, and then there was a third one which I can't remember what it was. But like they released those, and then when they actually did a physical release, it was all three of them together.
Right.
Like I feel like the closest you're going to get to that is you're going to get a company that releases them episodically,
right?
Like a Telltale game or anything like that, and then once everything is out, then package it together as one thing. I think that's about the closest you're going to get.
Fair enough. Let's see here. Let's do some Discord questions.
Sure.
So, let's see. Call Me Mo says, "Hey Jeff and John, what is your favorite gaming console / handheld, and what are some of the best games on said console? Thanks for all the fun content. Hope you have a pleasant day." What's your favorite console ever, John?
Favorite console ever?
Yeah. I'll expand that a little bit.
I feel like it's a tie.
Okay.
And I know that's a cop-out. Okay. But it's a tie between the Nintendo 64 and the Dreamcast.
Okay. And what would you say were the top games on the N64 and the Dreamcast? Those two consoles I have no experience with whatsoever.
So, I mean, for the N64, the reason it is one of my favorites, all the wrestling games are on it. That's where WWF No Mercy, WWF WrestleMania 2000, WCW NWO Revenge, WCW NWO World Tour, like all those games are all the best AKI engine games for wrestling are on that console, and I still have my N64 so that I can play those games specifically.
Right on.
But also I loved like GoldenEye is still like it doesn't hold up as well in retrospect, but I mean it's still good. It's a fun game. I feel like those were the main ones for the N64.
Okay.
For the Dreamcast, like holy shit, that's if you love fighting games, that is a fighting game heaven. Project Justice, which was just Rival Schools 2, was fucking great. Fucking love it. The Power Stone franchise. Like again, you named like literally, I had like a stack of just The Last Blade 2, Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolves. Any King of Fighters game, any of the Street Fighter games, you know, like
a lot of fighter games on the Dreamcast,
huh?
King of Fighter games on the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that was like that.
They were trapped on the Neo Geo until recently, basically.
No, they were like all the SNK games were on the Dreamcast.
Okay.
Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yeah.
Like just like any fighting game you can think of that is like gained any popularity, there was a Dreamcast version of it, and it was fucking great. Like that's I fucking loved it. I mean, and then close number 2 would probably be those are the top. The next one would be the GameCube. Strangely enough, the GameCube and the Xbox 360 would probably also be a tie for number 2.
Okay. As far as what is your favorite gaming console / handheld, I you know what, I'm gonna say that, I mean, like every era had its ups and downs.
Yeah.
Every era had its like bright spots and elsewhere. Man, I gotta tell you, like as far as like a jump in gaming goes, I'm tempted to go back, but like the fucking PlayStation 3 was like, I mean, you know, the PS2 was good. Like there's nothing wrong with PlayStation 2. You know, it had God of War and all that stuff going on in it, but like when I think about the PlayStation 3 and the fact that the PlayStation 3 was where, you know, Souls franchise kind of got its start, and you know, just the switch to HD that happened there. I mean, one could almost make a similar argument for the Xbox 360, but the PlayStation 3 was just, man, that was a hell of a console. And like starting the kind of move towards streaming starting to happen there, the Netflix app and renting movies and stuff like that, having it kind of be an entertainment platform with the Blu-ray, you know, being able to jump up to the HD with the Blu-ray, and then some of the HD stuff that they put out from the PS2 era, some of the backwards compatibility stuff, the online store. The PlayStation 3 really represented a big change in the way that I was into video games, is moving from, like, I feel like that's a delineation mark between everything before that and everything after that. Like, you know, the PS2 could the PS2 do DVDs? Was it a DVD player?
That was actually the thing that people bought the PS2 for. Was that was like that was the game changer, because no other console on the market could do DVDs.
Yeah.
And even when the Xbox eventually came out, which it came out long after the PS2 had already been out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you had to buy a thing,
like a decoder or something.
Like, yeah, you had to buy like get a controller. I mean, obviously you had to buy like a disc that would install software that would allow you to play DVDs.
Yeah. But that the PS3 especially, and I know this is kind of a weird one because mine died, but like the PS3 Fat, right? The opening ones that were like hella expensive. The fact that could also play all your PS2 games, you know, and then just the move, like, it's hard to describe how big the sea change was of going from the SD from the previous consoles to HD on the last gen, with like the 9th gen or whatever of consoles. That was such a big change. And then the way that the types of games that we were starting to get, like, I feel like games were starting to get more sophisticated, and even a lot of the franchises that I feel like are considered like classic now, I feel like get their start. I mean, you know, it was Xbox 360 games, but, you know, the BioShock and Mass Effect and things like that. I don't know. I just felt like there was such an interesting bunch of games on those consoles, and that it really just kind of, I don't know, just kind of changed the game for me in a lot of ways. So
yeah,
that's probably what I would say. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think there's a story for every single one of those every generation, right? Moving from the NES to the Super Nintendo was huge. Moving from the Super Nintendo to the PlayStation 1, I did the big jump. I didn't have an N64. Just the PlayStation when you started to get video and stuff like that. Yeah,
when you had PlayStation and the Sega Saturn.
Right.
Which I feel like the Sega Saturn was also underappreciated, but it had its issues.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it doesn't get enough recognition as it probably should have. But the Dreamcast was definitely where Sega went, and then figured out what they did wrong with the Saturn.
Yeah. The PlayStation 1 was also very interesting because you have to remember that up until the PlayStation 1, Sony, the guys that make Walkmans, they're coming into this business, this world that Nintendo and Sega run. Nintendo and Sega run the video game industry. What is Sony gonna do?
Yeah, and then it became like, well, Nintendo, Sega, and Sony run the gaming industry. What's this Microsoft gonna do?
Yeah, And then the Ouya came and just blew it all away.
Yeah, that's Stadia.
Sparks V says, "Hey Jeff and John, what do you think might be more of a differentiating factor in the future console war? VR, like Sony has the PSVR, streaming services that Microsoft has xCloud, or to a lesser extent, Sony the PlayStation Now. And what would you personally prefer for yourself out of those two? Hope you have a great rest of the week." And that's from Vova or Sparks. I think it's just. I've been saying this for a while. I think it's just exclusives, man. I don't think there's any.
I mean, if you remove exclusivity, like if you say
everything's on everything,
everything's on everything.
Yeah.
But which is it going to be? Is it going to be like if you can only get VR on one console and not the other? Is that going to impact your decision? Or if one has a streaming service and the other doesn't, is that going to impact your decision? I think those are going to be things that both Microsoft and Sony focus on.
Yeah.
But I don't know if those are necessarily going to be the things, like for me personally.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. We almost got through a whole podcast, John, without talking about it. But right now, it's Game Pass, man.
Yeah.
Like if I had to buy one of these brand new and I wasn't running this show or doing this thing, that fucking Game Pass that to me is bigger than VR or streaming. It's just the idea that you can get access to this catalog of games for this low monthly subscription rate is like, that to me is a bigger game changer than anybody's giving it credit for, especially when it's the Outer Worlds is day one Game Pass, or like in a week or two. I had it as a news story, but I skipped over it. The Halo Reach is going to be on the Xbox One and on Game Pass as well.
Yeah.
So, the idea that not only because with the Xbox, that means that not only does the Xbox have a certain number of console exclusives, but I get them all for $7 a month or something like that. That's fucking crazy. I don't know that's the cost of 2 AAA video games over a year, and then I get every first party thing that Microsoft puts out, and not only that, but I also get stuff like the Outer Worlds and Felix the Reaper, and those crazy other hell after party. That in and of itself to me is more than anything else that has happened in this generation of consoles. Game Pass, to me, has finally put the Xbox on the same footing as the PlayStation. And that up until this point, there was always a question in my mind of okay, listen, you're a Halo fan, you're going to get the Xbox. You're a Gears fan, you're getting an Xbox, right? But what's the thing what's the pitch for the regular guy on the street of just why should I get the Xbox instead of the PlayStation? And there wasn't, I don't feel a very good answer up until now, up until this huge catalog of back games that you just get for this monthly subscription, and new games that are going to come out, and you're not paying $60 per. So that to me has done more to drag the Xbox closer than anything else that's happened with Sony. Also, it doesn't hurt that Sony in 2019 has slowed way down with the exclusives and console exclusives, right? There's only been a handful. Death Stranding. What else? I know there's been some other stuff this year. There's stuff that I keep forgetting is a console exclusive.
Was the Resident Evil 2 console exclusive?
I don't think
remake?
so. I don't believe so.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Uh,
I just don't remember hearing about people playing it on the Xbox.
Yeah. It's taken a while. I mean, it's taken a while for them to get there, but like I said, none of that. In any case, that to me is more. I feel like okay, so that we've gone beyond. Exclusives have become fewer and further between than they used to be, and I definitely think that last year, right? God of War was Spider-Man last year. Was it the year before?
Spider-Man was last year because it was my game of the year, if I remember correctly, or maybe Red Dead was, and Spider-Man was number 2. I can't remember.
So, none of these are really stand out. Judgment was PS4 exclusive.
Yeah.
So there's definitely been things out there that have been PS4 exclusive, but nowadays I feel like that getting a subscription, like I think that you can see Sony starting to make PlayStation Now trying to compete with Game Pass with PS Now, but they still aren't going to be putting their new games on PS Now, which that would be a huge game changer, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's do one more, and we'll get out of here. Let's see. Dan K says, hey, Jeff, you mentioned in the Discord being lukewarm on Fallen Order. So what does your dream Star Wars game look like? And that's from Dan K. I know you haven't played Fallen Order yet, but what would your dream Star Wars game be like, John?
I mean, the memories I have of playing Star Wars Jedi Knight, Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight or whatever it was, or Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast.
Well, which one was it? Was it Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight or Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast?
Maybe Jedi Outcast.
Live action cutscenes or animated cutscenes?
Both. I feel like, again, the memories I have of playing those games.
Yes.
Like, I feel like if I go back and play those games, they're not anywhere near as good as I remember them being.
Right.
But the memories I have of playing those games are my, ideal. It's a third-person game.
Mm-hmm.
You have lightsabers because, again, you would think on paper, Jedi Fallen Order or Fallen Jedi Order or whatever the fuck
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. It should be my ideal Star Wars game. It's single player, third person.
Mm-hmm. Metroidvania. Kind of light Sekiro, Soulsy.
That I could give two shits about.
Yeah.
Just as long as the controls are solid.
Yeah.
As far as specifically the lightsaber controls. Hell, I felt like Force Unleashed, the first one, was really close.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt like it was a little bit too over the top for my liking to make it perfect.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you had taken but I thought the lightsaber combat was spot on. I thought the force power use was spot on.
Sure.
It just, they wanted to go big, hence the name Force Unleashed.
Right.
And I feel like that kind of, while as much as I enjoyed it playing the game,
mm-hmm.
I feel like looking back on it, that's not what I would want. I wouldn't want this grandiose, exaggerate. I don't want a force user.
You want some guy throwing Star Destroyers around?
No, I don't want someone pulling a star, using the force to pull down and crash a Star Destroyer into the surface of a planet. But give me something like to that level that has a good story, a good single player story,
mm-hmm.
and that has solid controls, and for all that, and you've won me over.
Okay.
Now, from what I've heard, Jedi Fallen Order probably not going to be that game, but could it be good? Could I enjoy it? Sure, probably. I don't know.
I really want to know what you think about it. I might have gotten my hopes up too high, and that might be the reason that I've been a little lukewarm on it. After listening to you talk, after thinking about it for a little while, Outer Worlds. That's the kind of Star Wars game I want. Let me
I could see that.
Let me do a build. Give me these tight stories where I can use, instead of charisma, maybe there's a charisma stat, and then maybe you specialize. Do you want to be like a Jedi, a bounty hunter, a smuggler, a captain? Give me a bunch of different ways that I can go. Kind of like you remember how in KOTOR at the beginning you got to choose,
yeah,
and then they were just like, just kidding, everybody's a Jedi. Or I don't know. Is there a way to play KOTOR where you don't be a Jedi? Can you just say
I don't think there is a way to play it without being a Jedi.
I don't want to. But like, I think that you could make a something like Outer Worlds where the combat is fun. It doesn't have to be like ultra technical. It doesn't have to be a big thing. And let me take my ship to other worlds and then deal with the things there. Like maybe I'm dealing as a Jedi. Maybe I'm a scoundrel. Maybe I'm looking for bounties, and then like have quests that unlock if you're depending on the class that you're playing as. Have companions that you can pick up, almost exactly like the Outer Worlds. Don't make it all voice. Don't try to make it into a big cutscene bonanza. Right? Give me the big script. Give me words on the screen with a person with a head.
You're essentially asking for KOTOR, but not necessarily Jedi focused KOTOR, but but that style of game.
KOTOR, but with like the way, since KOTOR had the 3.5 edition, it was like lining up actions. I really liked the way that Outer Worlds felt with the real time combat. Right. And I feel like something that was a little bit closer to that, or I don't know, maybe Skyrim, right? Those but kind of things. I
agree with you. If you were to say Outer Worlds, but in the Star Wars universe, I'd be like, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'd hope, for me personally, I would hope it would not be first person, and they find a way to make that work third person. But you know what? I would still play it first person.
Sure. I don't think there's any reason that those games have to be first person, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, because Outer Worlds, hell, you can be a melee character, right? Or you can do ranged. So if you can do melee, then that means that you can be a Jedi, and if you can do ranged, that means you could be a smuggler or bounty hunter or whatever.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of different tech trees that unlock different things for you to be able to do. Give yourself different different companions, have it be, morally neutral, let you go to the dark side if you want. The thing that Jedi Fallen Order kind of, I think the reason that KOTOR still stands out to me as one of as probably my favorite Star Wars game of all time is that Jedi Fallen Order, Force Unleashed, Jedi Outcast, take your pick. Pretty much every game that's not KOTOR was a game about a character where you didn't have a lot of choice in what happened, right?
Yeah.
Your goal is to do Darth Vader's bidding and create the Rebel Alliance in the Force Unleashed one. There's no way for you to go, nah, I just want to go fuck around over here. I just want to go over here and fuck around with my Jedi powers. And I think that one of the reasons that KOTOR works so well is because even though it wasn't exactly like KOTOR had a Witcher-style branching story path, that's actually not a bad one, though. Something like The Witcher, where it was, story-heavy, with a good combat engine, with some RPG stuff in it, but giving you the ability to really make your own story instead of just live the story of Kyle Katarn or Darth Situation or Cal Kestis, or one of those guys. I think that would probably be the Star Wars game that I would really, really, really get into.
Yeah,
that's my answer. And with that, we're done. Mail@rageselect.com is the email address. Send in your questions. If you are, go to patreon.com/rageselect and give us $5 a month. You can do your questions in the Discord chat, and we should tend to split about 50-50 there. So, yeah, do that. Also, Rage Select gets to stay in business. That's always a good thing. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on your point of view, but I think it's a good thing. I give it a thumbs up about Rage Select stays in business. So yeah, patreon.com/Rage Select. And with that, we're done. We've got to get started on that Star Wars game, right? I mean, who's going to make it? EA?